Web 3.0, Web 3.0. Can everybody shut up about Web 3.0? I don't even know what Web 2.0 is. Well, that's what this video is for. We're going to explain what Web 2.0 is and how you can understand that so you can position yourself for the future and Web 3.0. But before we get into that, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, whatever it may be, because that helps it get to more people, folks. We want more people watching this, don't we? So do that and continue to watch, because you need to know what Web 2.0 is so you can take advantage of what Web 3.0 has in store for us. Enjoy.
The older you do get, the more rules are going to try to get you to follow. You just got to keep living, man. L-I-V-I-N.
And so this was exciting times in Web 1. And then Web 2 comes along, and it's looking pretty promising.
Web 2 strolls along.
Strolls on in, walks into the bar.
Okay.
Hey.
Talking to Web 1, and then you do the double take. It's like the meme of the guy like looking back with like when he's holding his girlfriend's hand. It's like Web 1, Web 2.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's a good meme. Yes, you should definitely meme that right after this. Web 2 kind of changes everything, right? And it starts roughly at the end of Web 1, which is 2005, and it runs all the way until 2020. Rest in peace. And Web 2 is no longer read-only. It's no longer just a magazine, right? It's dynamic. Users are now creating content, right? And they're creating a lot of content. And this is where the birth of social media is. Twitter, Facebook. You know, I remember when I first signed up for my Facebook account, it was at a house party. And everyone had gone to bed, and I just couldn't sleep. Like, everyone had passed out like 4 a.m, and I'm sitting on my friend's computer, I think in the middle of high school. And yeah, I signed up for this thing called Facebook, right? And like, what the hell is this Facebook thing? It's like cool.
Okay, only Jesse is at the middle of a high school house party, and he decides
Everyone's passed out at this point. But
everyone's asleep, and Jesse decides that he's going to make an account at one of the most influential tech companies that has ever existed on this planet. Well, it's 4:30, and we're not going to speculate about what happened earlier in the evening.
Exactly. Debauchery. And yeah, so this is the birth of social media. Like, users are creating content, and you can now write 140 characters on the internet, and that's what it was back in the day, and call it a tweet. And you can read about what's happening at the Phillies game because there's a journalist sitting there writing out his thoughts about how the Phillies are playing onto the internet. And it's just like, it's so cool. It was just so captivating when I first found Twitter in college, my freshman year. And it was just like, mind-blowing. I was like, wow, I could just soak up knowledge everywhere because users are just creating this stuff.
Yeah, from my end, right? So like a little bit younger, right? So I was in like the middle school ages or whatever, and it was just like you got to use these apps, and you got to like poke somebody on Facebook. You got to tweet something. Nobody knew how any of this worked. You're like this video for a truth is. So if you know what that is, like this for 3 truths or whatever it was on Facebook, and like you were just having fun with it, and like you're making. I remember I signed up for Twitter because of literally Mac Miller. Lyric is like, hit me on Twitter, and I was like, what the hell is Twitter? Let me make my Twitter profile, which is MacNCheeasy, which is what I made it when I was however old I was. But like nobody knew what they were doing on these platforms.
No, it was the Wild West, right? It always is when it starts early. But unfortunately, with great power came no responsibility for a lot of these companies.
I was ready for it. I was Spider-Man. I was ready.
And responsibility. And I mean, I get it. They saw dollar signs. They saw opportunity. And like, what business wouldn't? And so what happened was these companies became very siloed. They became centralized services that were run by these corporations. No longer was it a community-driven effort. And only a handful of companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, you name, we all know the Web 2 companies, they gained all the value, right? And all the people who were creating the content on these platforms, all the people who are using these platforms, all the people who may have helped contribute to building them, we're not getting a whole lot of that value. And so, and then what really became just the vicious cycle of this all is the users helped create the value of these companies.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only were they left kind of with nothing, they were forced to stay because the network effect of a Facebook, of a Twitter, of a, these companies was, they were the only show in town. They were destroying competition left and right. And it just
Mm-hmm.
became this vicious cycle where they would use their venture capital funding to give tons of value away for free, right? Like you could use Facebook, it was free. You could use Twitter, it was free. You could use Uber, it was very cheap. Like you get those really cheap rides,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to talk, you don't have to put your finger out anymore to get the car. You just type on your phone and boom, you have a car. And they got these massive network effects, right? They killed the cab industry. They killed, whatever. They killed a lot of things.
Yep.
But now you're locked in, and now they're starting to charge you these normal prices. And well, Facebook, you're not being charged, but you are, right? Like they're serving you ads, they're selling your data, they're doing, like, you are being charged. And
You are the product.
You are the product, right? Or now Uber, right? Like the prices have gone up significantly because you're locked in now. And
Mm-hmm.
so what they would collaborate early on and be like friendly companies in the early going, and then soon they would turn and destroy kind of anything and everything in their path, right? And turn everyone into an enemy and compete.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of everyone winning, only one or two people win.
I'm curious the comparison here, and so this was like the modern day, because this is truly like the infrastructure in a sense of the internet. Like Facebook is the infrastructure of social media, and we're seeing like this monopoly in some respect. Like they just gobble you up. They gobble up Instagram, they gobble up WhatsApp, and we're seeing this like monopoly similar to like if you go back to like the Industrial Revolution, how we saw these monopolies in like the railroad industry and the oil, like we saw these issues, and it's just instead of now infrastructure based, it's technology based, and users have very little that they can do, because if you don't want to use Facebook, I challenge you, what's the alternative? If you don't want to use YouTube, if you don't want to stream on YouTube as a video, like what are the alternatives for like a long form, like
Yeah.
what are these alternatives?
And it's so hard to become a competitor, like to enter the space and compete against these companies, because they just have such massive network effects. Like so many people are already on them. It take you forever.
Yeah, what happens if it does work? They buy you because they have unlimited pockets, and
Deck
that's
is just stacked against you.
so that's Web 2. But we're saying a lot of the negatives of Web 2, but this ability to write and to add the ability to create added so many use cases, so many things that changed the world that we lived in. And this, like, although Web 1 changed the world, I think the leap from Web 1 to Web 2 might have changed our like day to day more than that of the leap from Web 0 to Web 1. That might be just because I lived through it, but it just feels like that's the case. I don't know what your thoughts on that.
No, truly. Once you get into these like application, like we got beyond the nerdy stuff, right? Beyond the layer one, right? We got into these higher levels where they're truly user applications, where you're taking pictures and sharing videos and talking to each other on the internet. And like that changes my life, right? My day-to-day life. It doesn't change how my computer operates.
It's so true. And it changes, and it connected the globe, literally. Like
Literally.
for everything that Facebook has done wrong, they've also connected families across the globe. So it took these people that were across, and they can now communicate and they can start talking. And this was like that Web 2 revolution was from Web 1 to Web 2 was truly crazy. And now this is where it gets exciting, right? If you made it this far, that means that you enjoyed the clip from the New Normal podcast. That also means that you would enjoy being part of the Incubator Discord community. This is a free community where thousands of people are changing their lives every day as they learn about crypto. So join that, which is linked in the description below, and introduce yourself. I'm looking forward to having a conversation there. Thanks for watching.
Well, I got thoughts that circle all around my head, and no one knows I'm thinking. till I'm dead.